Hello students, and welcome to the third and final lecture video on Chapter 18, the Civil Rights Movement. We left off talking about Malcolm X in the last lecture, which we talked about advocated militant protest in order to gain African American rights. The term that began to be used to signify that was Black Power. Black Power was a phrase that was coined by a man named Stokely Carmichael, who you see in the picture here, to describe using violence in order to get black freedom. Again, this is opposite and ran against what Martin Luther King Jr. was doing with his nonviolent protests. A group that was formed in order to promote this and to conduct violence to get African American rights were the Black Panthers. It was a militant black rights group, and if you would, please stop the video and look at page 605. The Black Panthers would use armed patrols of streets where predominantly African Americans lived to quote-unquote keep the peace. However, they unfortunately often incited violence. They would carry around weapons. They would walk up and down the street. They would wear black gloves and black leather jackets and were somewhat intimidating. They initiated afros. They started letting their hair grow out in the natural manner and growing how they used to grow their hair. And they wanted to use the term black instead of Negro or colored to describe themselves. So that's where that term originated. Tragically, on April 4th, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated from the balcony of a hotel room that he was staying in. He was in Memphis, Tennessee, helping local garbage workers protest for better working conditions and better wages. He stepped out on his balcony and was tragically shot and killed by James Earl Ray. In response to this, there were nationwide race riots within major cities, African Americans robbing and looting in a response to his assassination. So overall, there were many, many victories of the civil rights movement. Number one, it ended de jure segregation. Remember, de jure segregation is segregation by law. That was ended by Brown versus Board of Education. The blacks' ability to vote was increased. Black poverty dropped. Thurgood Marshall became a black Supreme Court justice. There were improvements in the housing conditions of blacks and also affirmative action. Affirmative action, by the way, is the term that refers to the fact that the government put in place programs where certain businesses must hire a certain number of African American employees. They had to have a certain percentage of African American employees to meet their quota. This is what affirmative action was. And thank you for watching our lecture on Chapter 18, the Civil Rights Movement.